we are in the QBO gym, and this is where we have numerous hands-on exercises that simulate real-life scenarios that you may encounter as a bookkeeper. Each month covers a variety of new topics and scenarios, and to make it a little bit easier for you, we break it down into 4 different sections. So if you are looking to work on your bookkeeping skills, this is the place for you. And if you want to do an entire month's worth of these all on your own, be sure to join our free 5-day bookkeeping challenge. All you need to do is click on the link in the description. But let's go ahead and get started with today's exercise, which is being pulled from our October Year 1 warm-ups section. At the top here is an animated video to give you a synopsis of what is going on in Craig's world this month. He is our fictitious business owner. Further down is an interactive pre-assessment quiz that relates to the video up above. Below that are the exercises in this section. And at the bottom here is an optional area where after you have gone through all of the exercises in this section and completed them, you will unlock some sample marketing posts that you can use on your LinkedIn to share with everyone what you have learned so far. So let's dive into today's exercise where we're going to practice processing bank fee transactions. Go ahead and click on that link to have the exercise come up for you. I have it here on the right side of my screen, so let's read through the scenario. After you have input all the sales and expense transactions, it's time to process bank feeds. This means comparing what went into and out of the bank and ensuring there is a correct record of it in QBO. Now, you will need to be in the same session of the sample company that you did all of the previous exercises in. If you have not completed those exercises yet, go ahead and click on the link on the top right corner of your screen. That'll take you to the first exercise. Complete that one and all the rest of them in this section until you get back to this one. They all build on each other, so it's really important to start with that first one. I have the sample company here on the left side of my screen. This is the last page that I left off of from the previous exercise. So let's go ahead and get started. First, we're going to start by processing the new transactions in the checking account. So to get to the bank area from the left navigation bar, we're going to hover over transactions and then select bank transactions. So over here on the left navigation bar, there's a couple ways to do this. The way it's written, we would hover over transactions and then select bank transactions. You would also have an option to do this here because it's a bookmark, or you could click on this tab right here. Either way you do it, it's all going to lead you to the exact same place. So go ahead and click on that bank transactions. Now note that you may need to close out some pop-ups as you proceed through the next steps in the sample company. So this is a pop-up that's just from QBO. If it's your first time in this area, you'll see it. It's just a helpful overview from QBO. You can just go ahead and click out of it. All right, so first let's go ahead and take a look at the bank transactions QBO thinks it has found matching transactions for. So to do that, in the All Transactions field, we're going to click on the down arrow and then select Suggested Matches. So here is that All Transactions. Click the down arrow, go ahead and select Suggested Matches. And now that filter will show us all the things that QBO thinks is a match. Now you'll notice that there are some transactions that have multiple matches that are found. So we're going to take a closer look at these. So go ahead and click on that Pam Sites row. You can either click on the row or click on View. Either way is fine. We just want to see this expanded area. Now clicking View opens up a panel showing the QBO transactions that QBO thinks is a match. It thinks match the bank feed. The first one in the list, expense 76, shows Pam Sites as the payee. The second one, bill payment 3, shows the payee as Books by Bessie. Now, when attempting to make a match, QBO only searches by amount. It's not looking at description or payee, so it doesn't actually know which one to choose. When you look at the options, however, you can see that the bank detail description matches the expense recorded for Pam Sites. So this is why we need humans to do this, so that we can make sure that these kinds of things are in fact matching. So the correct one is already selected, so we can go ahead and click on the green match button. So go ahead and do that, and that's matching. And you'll notice that as soon as you did that, matching that transaction, it also took care of the Books by Bessie transaction. Now QBO recognizes that there is only one match found for Books by Bessie. So now we're going to tackle the squeaky clean car wash transaction the same way that we just handled the one for Pam's sites. So on the squeaky clean car wash row, we're going to, in the action column, select match, or excuse me, view over here on this side. So go ahead and do that. And you'll notice here that there are two transactions in QBO that potentially match the transaction. One of them is a cash expense. Craig previously told you that the car wash's credit card reader frequently goes out and he has to pay with cash. So was this spent from a previous petty cash account? Was it something that was paid for by Craig personally, so he should be reimbursed? Either way, you'll need to make a note to talk to Craig about this later. For now, just match the debit expense, which is the correct date and is is already selected. So you can tell this date matches the date here on the bank feed. So this is correct. We can go ahead and click on the green match button. All right, so finally, let's take a look at the Tanya's nursery transaction. If we scroll down, it says 2 matches found. Let's go ahead and click on view right next to it. All right, so remember that old receipt that Craig found and entered in the system? Well, it looks like it had already been entered. Of course, you were the one that found that the one who had found the receipt. If you were the one that had found the receipt, you probably would have checked that. Craig was the one to jump the gun here. At this point, you'll just need to avoid the one that you had entered. So we're going to click on the one that says expense, not expense 15, but the one that says expense. Click on that. And it will pull up that expense that we had created in the previous exercise. So in the memo field, let's go ahead and type duplicate transaction. So click into that and type that. Duplicate transaction. And now we're going to click on this more in the middle of the bottom bar. Click on that. And then we want to click on void. And once again, you're going to get this pop-up here. You're once again going to click on void or yes, whichever one it comes up saying. Sometimes it says void, sometimes it says yes. Whichever one it is, that's the one you want to do. So after successfully voiding the transaction, you will be returned to this transactions center. Here you will see that the Tanya's nursery transaction has been resolved and only single matches remain on the list. So you can accept these in batch. So if we look here, you can see it's the green box that says one match found all the way through. So to accept these in batch, we're going to click on the transaction on the top of that chart here or that grid. And then go ahead and click on accept once you do. And now you can see that all of the transactions that QBO were a match were in fact accepted. And so now you're being notified that there are no more transactions that match our search. Remember, we have this filter on. So we need to remove that filter to see any unmatched transactions. So next to that suggested matches, just go ahead and click on the X to remove that filter. And now we have 5 remaining transactions at this point. So you call Craig to ask about the Books by Bessie transaction. The last time he was there, Craig noticed that one of the trees along the fence line had a broken branch that was leaning on the fence. Craig told her he could remove it for her for $55, and she told him to go ahead and take care of it. She sent the payment without waiting for the invoice, and Craig forgot to report it. You cannot add sales transactions to a vendor record, so if a vendor becomes a customer, like in this case, a new customer account needs to be set up. Since there was no invoice involved, you need to use a sales receipt to record payment for the trimming. So we're going to click on the plus new button and then select sales receipt. So click that plus new button on the top left corner, and then under customers, select sales receipt. In the customer field, let's go ahead and click on the plus new button. So click the down arrow, select plus add new. I think I said the plus new button, the plus add new button. So even though Books by Bessie is already set up as a vendor, when she buys services from Craig, you need to establish a customer account. So in the customer display name field, we're going to type Books by Bessie with a C in parentheses. So go ahead and do that. Now, the reason that we're typing that C in a parentheses at the end of the name is to distinguish that this is the Books by Bessie customer account versus the Books by Bessie vendor account. QBO does not allow you to have a vendor and customer with the same name. So we need to do something like this to distinguish the difference between them. So go ahead and click on the green Save button now that we have created that new customer account. We're going to change the date of the sales receipt to today. So click on that calendar icon and then scroll until you get to today's date. Now, because the last time you entered a date, it was 2 months old. Remember when we did the Tanya's Nursery transaction in the previous exercise? So that will still be showing in this field. Technically, the date here should match the date of the Books by Bessie transaction that we saw on the bank feed. But since the dates are always changing in the sample company, you can just use today's date for the purpose of this exercise. And just know that your day may be different than what you are seeing on my screen. In the deposit to field, we want to select checking. Remember, this has already gone through to the bank, and so that's why we're selecting checking here. So click the down arrow, select checking. And let's fill out the rest of the sales receipt. In the product service field, we want to select trimming. So click into that. You can either scroll or you can type. Either way is perfectly fine. Once you find trimming, go ahead and click on it. And then in the rate field, we're going to type 55. Hit the tab key over and you will see it has been updated. And now we can just go ahead and click on Save and Close. It's the bottom right corner of the screen, that green button. Click on that. And now that sales receipt has been saved, and you will notice now that the transaction in the bank feed now matches that newly created sales receipt. So you can go ahead and click on the match right next to it. So go ahead and do that. And now we just have these 4 remaining transactions. Now, you do not know anything about the A rental transactions, so you're going to set them aside and ask Craig later. Since you'll be working on several accounts, put them all in one category so you can quickly pull them all up together when you talk to him. So let's go ahead and click on the check boxes on the left to select all 3 of the 8 rental transactions. So click on those check boxes. We're going to click on Edit here. In the account field, we're going to select plus add or new. So click in that, click on plus add new. And now, even though this account will be used for both income and expense transactions, create it as an other expense account. So when it appears on reports, it'll be at the bottom. So in the account type field, select other expense. So click into it, scroll down, and it is the very last one on that list. In the detail type field, let's go ahead and select other miscellaneous expense. Click the down arrow, scroll a little bit until you find it. In the name field, we're going to type to be categorized. So click into that, what is currently there, delete it, and type to be categorized. No need for a description. And then we're just going to go ahead and click on the green Save and Close button. And now we can go ahead and click on Apply and Accept. So go ahead and do that. And again, all this is doing is just grouping all of those in that account so that when you are needing to talk to Craig about it, you can just run a report, see all of those on the bottom of that report, and easily pull it up for him to talk about, to figure out how it needs to be categorized. So the last transaction left in the bank feed is for Hicks Hardware. You recall entering a transaction for Hicks Hardware for the same amount of $24.38. That was the split transaction or expense transaction you did because Craig bought those light bulbs for personal use. So why isn't it matching? Let's take a look. So let's go ahead and click on that transaction. And then we're going to click the radio button next to match. Go ahead and do that. Now, while there is a transaction listed here for Hicks Hardware, it's off by 2 cents. So it's not necessarily the same transaction. So let's look for it a different way. And here is that one that says expense 8. It's close, but not exactly the same. So let's go ahead and click on cancel. My video screen is hiding it right now, but it's on the bottom left corner of the screen. Click on that. Now let's go ahead and look at this a different way. We're going to click on the magnifying glass icon on the top right corner of the screen and then click on Go to Transactions Search. So that magnifying glass is right here. Click on that and then Go to Transactions Search is this blue wording right here. Go ahead and click on that. Now, without any further filtering, you can immediately see the Hicks hardware transaction that you entered earlier today with the correct amount. But why isn't it matching? We need to dig a little bit further in this. So let's go ahead and click on that Hicks hardware transaction row. So it's this one right here for $24.38. Click on that. And when you do, the transaction will appear for you. Now, upon closer inspection, you see that the payment account says Visa. You had been processing bank feeds in the checking account. The receipt said Visa right on it, but now you realize that it can mean a Visa check card, which is actually a debit card, not the Visa credit card. And so we need to make that adjustment in the payment account. Let's adjust that to checking. So click the down arrow, select checking. Now, you may also be having an issue with the date. The dates in the sample company are always changing, so it's difficult to get this one just quite right. QBO will only look for a match about 10 days after the date of the bank feed. So you wouldn't do this in a real life situation, but for the purpose of this exercise, because the dates are always changing, we're going to change the date to 1 month earlier. So if you remember how to do that, you click on that calendar icon. Go back 1 month by clicking on the arrow and then select 1 month ago. So for me, that would be today is October 9th, so that would be for September 9th. So now we can go ahead and click on Save and Close. That's the green button on the bottom right corner. And that expense has been updated and saved, and now we can return to the bank feeds. So again, from the left navigation bar, we're going to hover over transactions and then select bank transactions. So go ahead and do that. And yay, you can see now that the transaction is now correctly matching. So we can go ahead and click on that match. And now we have finished matching all of processing the bank feeds for the checking accounts. So now that the checking account is all set for now, you can take a look at the savings account. So let's go ahead and click on the savings account tile. So if you go back here to the top, currently it is selected on checking, and you can tell because it is blue. If we look here and see this one, it says savings, go ahead and click on that. And you'll see that as soon as you do, you're in the bank feed for the savings account, and there is only one match or one transaction, and it happens to be a match. So in the action column, we're going to click on Finish to finish processing the savings account feed. So go ahead and click on Match. And that's it. The bank feeds for the checking and savings account are now situated for today. And now we just have to do the MasterCard. So we're going to click on the MasterCard tile. Now, if your screen is kind of shortened like mine, you may need to click on this arrow right here to scroll over. Once you do, you will see this is the MasterCard tile. So go ahead and click on it. And next to each transaction that has one match found, we're going to click on the checkbox. Now, it should be a total of 3. So click on those checkboxes next to each one that has a match found. And then we're going to accept these in batch by clicking on that. And now we just have these 4 remaining ones. Now, the Squeaky Clean Car Wash has 2 transactions for the exact same amount. We can infer that they were 2 different car washes on 2 different dates, as you can see here. So to the right of the first Squeaky Clean Car Wash, we're going to click on the View. So go ahead and do that to expand it. We want to click on the radio button that matches the date. So for me, that is the second one here. This date is matching what is the date here on the bank feed. So make sure yours is the correctly selected one, and then go ahead and click on the green match button. And now you will see that QBO automatically found the match for the other Squeaky Clean Car Wash transaction once we handled that first one. So you can go ahead and click on match. So go ahead and do that. And now we just have these 2 remaining ones, which you will have to ask Craig about at a later time, but he's already left for the day. So you will categorize these in that to be categorized account until you can ask him about them another time. So we're going to click on the checkbox at the top of the column and then click on edit. So click on that checkbox, click on edit. And then in the account field, we want to select to be categorized. So click that down arrow. And then I'm actually just going to go ahead and type it so it comes up quicker. Once you find it, go ahead and click on it. And then go ahead and click on apply and accept. And that's it. You are done processing the bank feeds for today. You will see these check marks. It indicates that there are no transactions left to process. So you can see that on each account. And that is it. That is how you would process the bank feed transactions. Now, if you like this exercise and you'd like to do more like it, be sure to join our free 5-day bookkeeping challenge. All you need to do is click on the link in the description. We have finished the warm-up section and we move on to the cardio section with our next exercise where we practice invoicing delayed charges. And I will see you in the next video.